Hey everybody, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about something that I learned from this year's Super Bowl champs. And whether you feel good about who won or not, there's a lot to learn from it. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Life Revived with NJ Pedersen. You know, whether you watch football or not, whether you really pay attention to sports, or even if you do, and for instance, you were watching the Super Bowl and we're happy with the result or not, there is actually a lot to learn from the situation that Tampa Bay went through in order to win this year's Super Bowl. And, you know, one of the things is interesting is, you know, like I said, whether you like Tom Brady or not, I heard a stat during the game which really surprised me. And I mean, I've known and we've all heard this before, but it's something where I was really shocked by this stat that I heard about the change that Tampa Bay went through before Tom Brady to after Tom Brady and being the Super Bowl champs. You know, so stick through to the end because I'm not only going to give you those stats, but I'm also going to give you things. What can you do to start improving your health? Or let's say health is not your goal. What you can do to start making changes in your life, whether it be your relationship, whether it be your finances, whether it be anything like those. All of these points pertain to that. You know, so it's something that we really can take notes on, really can start putting into action and start making part of our lives to ensure that we're happier, healthier, and doing what we want to do, right? So the main thing that I heard about Tom Brady was that Tampa Bay had one of the worst records in history. Now, I'm not going to do the stats because the stats, the exact stats aren't what matter here. But it's the influence that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went from one of the worst teams, one of the worst winning percentages, all the way to winning a Super Bowl within 1 year of Tom Brady being there. Now, you could argue that it was Gronk and all these other different changes too, but the fact is they went from a terrible team, from the stats that I heard, to a Super Bowl champion. And that was all because of a change of a couple key people that were part of that team. And now this is why I say it doesn't matter what you think of Tom Brady. It doesn't matter what you think of Gronkowski. It doesn't matter what you think of Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, or if you watch football or not. You know, I was a football player for a long time. I do watch them when they're available, but I do not pay attention to sports. And so the stat that they went from a losing team to a Super Bowl championship with a small change, right, that we all can make ultimately, to being a successful Super Bowl championship team. That's what matters to me. Right. And so I'm going to get into the different points at how we can play off of this. But I just want to make sure to take the time. Please hit the bell. Please subscribe. Share this out with your friends because my goal is always making you better. And I want to get this out to the masses. So how does Tom Brady make such an impact on a team, or Gronkowski, or whoever it is? How do the successful business owners, how do the successful relationships, those types of things, how do those people continue to be successful and always have success where others fail often, that never seem to get past that plateau? You know, and they follow these couple different points that I'm going to give you here. You know, and I think one of them for sure is going to be, you need to look at your surroundings. Look at your environment, right? Is it a positive environment or not? If you're trying to be healthier, but you're hanging out with all your friends that all they do is drink and eat fried food every single weekend, that's not going to happen. But if you're hanging out with your friends that talk about going to yoga every morning, going for a hike over the weekend, taking in the fresh air, what are your chances of being healthy? Which environment is going to promote that a little bit more, right? So that's the one thing you can do, is make sure you look at the environment that you're in. Start being aware of the things that you're doing week in, week out, and how you're feeling about that. And if that matches your goal or not, right? Which may be a little backtrack. You have to know what your goals are. Okay? Is your goal to be healthier? Are you comfortable with where you're at? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to be happier in your relationship? Those types of things. So look at your environment. You know, and depending, if that environment is not the environment that you need to be successful, to be healthy, to be happy, you need to change that. Start putting yourself in the environment, that new environment that you intend to create for yourself. Okay? What this does is it jars you out of the old way of thinking. this new environment, when you start surrounding yourself, it has the ability to have its effects on you and show you that new normal and how successful that can be. And this doesn't have to be an all-time thing. You don't have to immediately switch from one side to the other, but start surrounding yourself with that type of thing, okay? Get yourself into that so your body starts to understand this is possible. There are people that live like this. I feel good when I do this. It starts to have those effects. It starts to show you that what that new, beneficial, healthier life in you can be. Right? If you can't go anywhere, I mean, we're in a time of a lot of restrictions, a lot of, this is less socializing than usual. You can watch documentaries. You can join a social media group, right? You can listen to podcasts. You can do all these types of things. One of the things that I've been doing lately is I've been on Clubhouse. It's a new social media app where it's audio only. And if you get on there, let me know. I've got a few invites that I can share out with a couple different people, but make some comments below. And I'll happily share those with you because it's super cool, right? Whether it's health, whether it's lifestyles, whether it's diets, whether it's business, whether it's some people on there just get on there and they sit in silence, right? Find a group that creates the environment that you want to be around, okay? And ultimately what comes with this too is you have to be conscious of what brings you joy and be cautious of anyone or anything that brings you down. Realization. Conscious decision, conscious thought is important here. You have to be aware of how your environment is affecting you. So be conscious of what actually makes you happy, brings you joy, and also be cautious. Those words are close to each other. Maybe you should show some different words of anyone or anything that might bring you down. Okay? Because the most important part, here's the thing. Here's how Tom Brady, Gronkowski, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers became Super Bowl championships, is because the most important thing about our environment is who you surround yourself with, right? We've all heard that statement of we are the sum of who we surround ourselves with. This is why you don't want to be seen hanging out with the bad kids when you're younger, because you're immediately going to have that bad reputation, because the likelihood is you're doing something bad if you're with bad people, right? So the most important part of our environment is who we surround ourselves with, especially when you are just getting started on a new journey and trying to plow past and break past those insecurities and doubts that you have. So I'm talking about healthcare. That's what I talk about a lot. And I talk about chronic disease, which are a lot of people, they don't understand that there is the other side. They don't understand there is the ability to reverse these diseases. But I'm here to tell you it's very possible. I see it every week. So you have to look at your environment and who you're surrounding yourself, because when you have those doubts, they're either going to feed into your doubts and insecurities, or they're going to break them. Right? So, because we've all been there. I think, there's always that we need all the strength that we've gotten in these things. It takes effort to change our health. It takes effort to reverse disease. It takes effort to create something new. Okay? And nothing is harder to deal with than an unhelpful friend or family member that tries to convince you, oh, those diets don't work. Right? Or I really hate that one thing. It just makes my blood boil, is when that little passive aggressive jab of, oh yeah, good luck with that, right? It makes me want to just punch them. But they're doing it out of love, which I think is the biggest excuse ever, because now we can't be upset with them because they're doing it because they care. But ultimately what that's their insecurity. That's their inability to make that change. That's their unwillingness to make that change. So we can't get stuck in their insecurities. We've all heard that misery loves company, right? Well, that's not the company I want to keep. And ultimately, I don't want to wallow in their misery anymore. I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I mean, you might have noticed I sign off on all my videos with that. Be happy, be healthy, because we are in control of that. And guess what? The people that we surround ourselves with, they have a big influence on that. Okay. So, I mean, this is a big thing. I mean, a lot of times we're worried about, well, these are my family, these are my friends, and if they're not on board, am I screwed? Right? And no, you're not. Right? But it is going to be a little harder if you don't have that support, which is why I opened up this conversation with, you need to start putting yourself in an environment, find that environment, right? But here's a couple things that you can do that, let's say the people that surround you might not be on board with your newfound awesomeness, right? Because it is, you are awesome if you're trying to make those changes. And this is where a lot of times people are afraid of that. But here's some things that you can do if these are your family and friends surrounding you that you want to start making some change that will help you get through this process, okay? Do not try to change them. If you're making changes and they're throwing that passive aggressive jab, or they just don't believe it can happen, that's fine. That's their opinion, right? But don't try to change their opinion. Support their decisions, right? That's okay. And don't try to convince them otherwise, because I mean, the fact is they're not going to do it. They're just going to try and bring you down with them or bring them to their level. They're not willing to do that sort of thing. You know, I see it happen all the time with our clients where their friends start kind of giving, oh, you're going for another walk, or oh, you're going to be difficult at dinner. No, I'm just going to do what I am. Do your thing, right? And so don't make it your project to try and get them to see it your way. They're just never going to, it's never going to happen. It's kind of a two thing. Don't try to change them. Don't make it your project. You're going to spend way too much energy trying to convince them that what you're doing is the right thing or that you feel better. Let it be. Focus that energy on doing those other things that we talked about, right? By finding the right environment, by, you know, finding the things that bring you joy, kind of working against your own insecurities and doubts. Don't try to convince them otherwise, okay? And then lead by example. This is actually the best way that you're going to get people to come over, because when you start doing better, when you start feeling better, when you start being healthy, they're going to see this and they're going to be like, man, it is working for them, for her, for him, right? And that's leading by example is going to be the most benefit you can have on your friends, your family, and so on. And work on yourself, you know, and I think there's a part of this too. It all sounds similar, but they're very different steps. You have your dreams, you have your goals, right? You have the reasons you're doing what you are. So lead by example, work on yourself, but do not share those dreams, those aspirations, those goals with these other people, because they're just going to find other reasons to say it can't work. I mean, yes, of course, like they might ask, and only share them if they do ask and you believe them, right? Some people are like, oh, what are you doing this weekend, right? And they don't really care. It's just part of it's social norm, right? If someone is truly interested and wants to know what you're doing and how you're doing so much better, then share that with them, but don't get attached to it, right? Don't get attached to their reaction to your goals, because they're your goals, right? It's what you're willing to do. It's what you're willing to work for. And they might not be on the same page. So share only if they ask and you really believe them, but don't be attached to that reaction that they have, okay? And then hang out with people who are going places, right? And if you don't know them, find them. This is kind of what I was talking about when I opened up this video. And of course, this is a whole conversation in its own and how we find these different things. So make sure you subscribe, of course, and follow me, because I'll be going into these things. And maybe we can build our own community of these people, but hang out with people who are going places, who are the movers and groovers. And if you don't know them, find them. That's why I brought up Clubhouse, right? I've been fascinated by the different groups that I find in there, and a lot of connections that I've made because I'm just willing to listen and hang out and share the information I have, right? Again, there's like the meetup.com, there's Facebook, you know, different groups that you can search, find those people that are willing to support you and that you know are going places, okay? And then finally, you need to be willing to let people go. Okay, this doesn't mean you have to push them away, but if you continue to get that feedback that they're not supporting you, you know, maybe it's time to not pay that much attention to that relationship, right? And letting go of these people it means different things, right? I mean, if it's your mom and dad, if it's your brother or sister, your cousin, you're going to see these people, but start working at saying, look, I'm not going to reach out to hang out with them. I'm not going to let their influence or their opinions influence me that much, you know, because when we make changes like this and when we have our support groups and our family member around us, you know, one of the biggest things that it's kind of been entrained into us is that community means survival, right? That comes from way back in our evolution. We need community to survive. And so we know that we're going to start losing those friendships. If we know we're going to start losing some of those connections, we fear that we're going to die, okay? The fact is, you are not going to die. If you're making the changes that we've talked about, you're only going to be healthier, and you're going to far succeed, and you're going to keep doing the things that make you thrive rather than die. Okay. But you need to be willing to let those people go. And this fights against those deep desires, like I said. But either way, you will be okay. Right? Okay. So don't focus on your success being attached to theirs. And ultimately, like we said, focus on you and what makes you excited, what makes you healthy. Because not living your life, okay, is no way to live. If you're unhappy where you are and you're staying with her because you don't have that support, that's no way to live, right? You're going to deal with some discomfort one way or the other. I choose to live in that discomfort to make myself better, right? Live the life you want to do. Go back, listen to this again to get some of those points, get some of those motivations, how I look at that. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, share this out if anyone needs to hear it. You know, leave a comment below if you want to be part of Clubhouse or if you have specific questions on how you're dealing with these. I have lots of great responses for depending on the change you're trying to make and someone's giving you a hard time. I say, here, say this or do this. You know, I'm here for you, right? Whether you like Tom Brady or not, follow his influence on how he went to a new team and made it a Super Bowl championship, turned all those stats around by the people he surrounds himself with. By the people you surround yourself, you yourself can be a champion, whether it's in health, finances, relationship. I know I'm not going to be a Super Bowl champion anytime soon, and I'm okay with that. But ultimately, hit subscribe, leave the comments below, be happy, and be healthy. I'll see you on the next video.